Hi everyone, I'm here with Dr. David Linzey. David, great to see you.
Good,
Thanks so much for being here with us.
Sure.
Animal Emergency and Pet Care Clinic of the High Country right on 105 here in Boone. And David, I wanted to have an opportunity to talk to you because you have a phenomenal background. And let's talk first about your desire, why you wanted to become a veterinarian. And
that goes way back.
Yeah. Tell us about that if you would.
Yeah, I've always had an interest in veterinary medicine. My parents were both biologists, so I had kind of a wildlife training background and grew up with all kinds of orphan animals and things. Not necessarily dogs and cats, although we had plenty of those, but kind of always in the animal environment, and that kind of fostered my interest in veterinary medicine. And I'm really, literally, as far back as I can remember, it's something I kind of always wanted to do. So it's kind of something you have to kind of have a passion for early on and kind of work towards that goal of vet school. Because that is a kind of a challenging, competitive arena to kind of get in the first place, and it's a fairly competitive environment. So
yeah, Dr. Linzey, I tell you, if I'm sure most of you have seen this, most of the viewers, but on Highway 105 in Boone here, just a phenomenal building. You built that in 2011, just as beautiful as you could ever imagine having it, and you're open 24 hours a day, aren't you?
Yeah, we've always, at least for the last 5-6 years or so, been a 24-hour emergency facility. So basically overnights and on weekends, particularly when the other clinics in the area are closed, we provide emergency services, and then we also do that during the daytime as well. And then in addition to that, several years ago started offering daytime preventative healthcare services as well. And so there's somebody there 24 hours a day, and it's staff. There's a doctor on duty, and there's veterinary technician staff there that also provides supportive care 24 hours a day, just all the time. So we never close. So yeah. always open.
And in 1994, you graduated from North Carolina State. And so tell us about that and how much you enjoyed there.
Sure. Yeah, I did undergrad there from 1985 to 90, and then vet school from 90 to 94. And it's always consistently ranked as one of the top vet schools in the country. So I'm proud to say I'm a graduate of that institution. We have doctors actually at our clinic from, I believe, we've got 6 different graduates from different programs all around the country. And a couple from NC State. So yeah, I was pleased to have been a graduate from there, and I'm still affiliated with the university. I'm on the admissions committee this year, so reviewing upcoming applicants for the upcoming year, and also help schedule continuing education meetings, conferences, and things like that with the college as well. So yeah, still try to keep my foot in the door down there, although it's been a few years. Yeah. So
and we're very lucky to have you here in Boone. But prior to this, you were down in Hickory and then Taylorsville.
Yeah, we lived in, my wife and I lived in Taylorsville, outside of Hickory for about 12 years, and I did mixed practice there initially when I first graduated from vet school, and did mixed practice means both small animals like dogs and cats, and then also farm animals or larger animals, and for us it was primarily horses and small beef cattle herds. And so there's some, farm call, ambulatory work to be done, and then also some small animal in-house care, kind of like we're doing now. So a good variety. Yeah. Did that for a little while, and then worked at a little clinic in Hickory for a couple of years. Dabbled in a little bit of emergency care. Down there, there's an emergency clinic in Hickory, which is the next closest one to us, to our area. And that's where I kind of developed an interest in emergency medicine, and then that kind of led us up the mountain, and that's why we ended up here. So. Yeah,
so you came here to Boone in 2005 originally, and you were right there on, not far down from Wendy's.
The Wendy's intersection?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you, in 2011, decided to build the big one. I mean, that's
the big one, yeah. We grew out of those, the fairly small area that we had there in that little shopping mall area, and realized that probably to continue growing and offering the services we were going to need or would like to offer, that we would need to move into a bigger area, bigger building. And so that's kind of what prompted the move, the build and the move. So
probably is, I'm sure it's one of the most beautiful buildings of any type.
We've had lots of comments, both from the bank that financed it, which deals specifically with veterinary hospitals, and also from other architects and other folks that drive by and see the building and they comment on it. So we're proud of the building. It came out really nicely, and all the folks that contributed, the contractors and engineers and architects and the whole crew, all local, everybody here from the High Country area, did a great job. So. Yeah.
And what I'm amazed by too is how many people. You're talking about open 24 hours a day, so if you ever need anything, I've actually been there myself with my dog. a golden retriever, and she was having some difficulties, getting older, and you guys did a tremendous job with her. But you have, you have like 35 people. I mean, to run on a
not all at the same time, but we have a staff of 8 to 9 doctors. Usually, most of those are full time, and so it takes quite a few people to run the place 24 hours a day. And we've got certain doctors that are dedicated primarily to emergency care, so they work the overnight graveyard shifts and some of the weekends. And then we have another slew of doctors that usually work during the daytime and do more of the daytime preventative care sort of things. So it takes a lot of people to kind of run that 24-hour shift sort of thing, and everybody overlaps a little bit, but primarily everybody has their area of focus where they kind of focus on emergency versus kind of daycare, surgery, dental, those kind of things. So,
yeah, and you have what, 8 associate veterinarians?
Yep,
there?
about 8 other ones right now that work, most, like I said, full-time, and a couple that work part-time and fill in, those kind of things. So.
Yeah, and they come from great backgrounds too. I mean, some of them, as you mentioned, North Carolina State. I saw ones from University of Georgia. Georgia's a tremendous veterinary school also.
Got a couple from University of Tennessee, one from Kansas State, one from Iowa State, one from Georgia, one from Virginia Tech. So. Good spread, good representation of a lot of the different colleges.
Oh, it really is. And then obviously a lot more of technicians, laboratory technicians and veterinary technicians and everything. And and you're always looking for more of those, aren't you?
We always are. Usually there's, both just for our, growth, seasonal fluctions we see a fair bit of, as everybody else does up here as well, I think. Yeah. So we're markedly busier during the summertime, and it slows down a little bit during the winter months. But we're kind of always looking for both trained veterinary technicians, which is a training program that they go through that allows them to be certified vet techs. And then we also have other, technician employees that are kind of trained on the job. Some students that are here in town that are Appalachian students particularly looking at maybe veterinary medicine as a career and wanting to get some experience and things like that. So we have a good assortment and good collection. So
so let's talk about some of the services that you do, because you really do anything that you can imagine. And obviously, even if you're 3 o'clock in the morning and your animal, your dog or whatever animal you have has some difficulty, you can bring them straight down. But so that's what you're talking about, animal emergency and pet care clinic in the high country. But you do a whole lot more than that too.
We do, and we hope that the name kind of encompasses kind of what we do, because we did change the name a little bit when we moved to add on that pet care portion of the name, because everybody traditionally, since we've opened in Boone, has kind of associated our practice with mostly emergency care, which is something that we do focus on. But during the daytime, we also do provide regular preventative health care, and then it can include regular annual checks and vaccinations and heartworm testing and leukemia testing and dentals, spays, neuters, all those regular services that regular daytime vet clinics offer. So
And so, talk about some of the things, like if some of those preventative things. Tell us about some of the things that you do.
Well, one thing I was wanting to talk about today specifically, because I've been talking with the Watauga Humane Society recently, and they did want me to mention this as kind of a public service announcement sort of thing. There's a type of a disease that young dogs are susceptible to acquiring, and it's called parvovirus. And I think most people that have had puppies or have had dogs in the past probably have at least heard of parvovirus. It is a viral disease that is highly contagious. We tend to see certain times of the year when it tends to be a little bit more common. The Humane Society has mentioned this to me because they asked us to potentially do a little bit of just some public service announcements just to let people be aware of the fact that it is a common disease in our area. And they're seeing quite a lot of it in animals that they have in the Humane Society. We also have been seeing quite a bit of it here over the last month or two. It is primarily a disease that we see of younger dogs that are probably 6 or 8 months of age or younger. And kind of the key take-home point of all this is a highly preventable disease. Those vaccinations that they get when they're little, they usually start around 6, 8 weeks of age, and they usually get a series of about 3, includes parvovirus, and that's probably the main thing in that vaccine combination that we vaccinate for, because it's such a common disease. The vaccine is terribly inexpensive and almost 100% effective after they get the whole series. So every time we see a parvo puppy come in, it's invariably they either have not been adequately vaccinated or not vaccinated at all. And it's a real shame, because it is a bad disease. It is difficult to treat, it is expensive to treat because it's a really intensively care managed sort of treatment. And we still lose dogs that get this disease, and they still die on us even after owners have done everything we recommend that they do and hospitalized and the cost and all that. So it's a real shame to see a lot of these puppies get this disease that is otherwise very preventable. So we really encourage anybody that's got puppies, young dogs, to make sure that they do talk with their veterinarian and what the recommendations that they talk to them about as far as puppy care and young dog care. Always includes those vaccinations. It's so easy to do, it is inexpensive, and it's highly effective. So it's something that we can't really stress enough to people that are getting new puppies or adopting them from the shelters. And we occasionally get situations where puppies have started their vaccine series, they're not finished with them, and just bad luck, they just get exposed to it and they can still get sick. But once they finish that whole vaccination cycle, which they should finish by the time they're about 4 months old, 4 to 5 months old, typically they should be protected, from that virus. And it's so easy for them to pick this up. The virus is passed in fecal material. So whenever your dog is running anywhere outside, if it tracks through an area where a dog has been that's been sick, it is very easy for them just to get it on their feet. They ingest it. It's super easy for them to pick it up. So it really is something that is everywhere, all over the area, and is something to kind of be aware of and make sure you prevent and protect your puppy from that disease.
So the Humane Society right now is really struggling with it?
The reason they called and asked me to kind of say something today on the spot was just that they have been seeing quite a few cases of it, more than is typical. And we do see seasonal kind of fluctuations where it becomes a little more common and we see more cases. And I can verify that over the last month or two, I don't know about the other clinics in the area, but I know we have seen probably more cases on average than we normally see. So the virus is out there, whatever environmental conditions or whatever must be suitable for it. And once we get a certain percent of the population that is infected and shedding virus and all that, it becomes difficult to control it. So the best way is just to vaccinate those puppies, make sure that they're protected, and put your mind at ease, because it's a bad thing to deal with, and is an unfortunate thing that is, it's preventable. So
yeah, obviously you still have a great passion for what you do. You're really enjoying, and your office there is just growing and growing. You talk about even expanding possibly next year, aren't you?
Yeah, in the future, we even though our nice new building is still fairly new, we are kind of bursting at the seams as far as equipment and kind of new medical advancements and things like that. We would like to offer the residents of the High Country, and I think that probably in order for us to be able to do that, we are going to probably need a little more space. And the building that we're in right now is running out of available counter space and things for various different sort of tools and equipment and things that we may need to be able to offer those things. So it's something we're looking at for next year. So.
Yeah, so any viewers that are wondering where it is, if you come out to the center of the Wendy's intersection there and you head out on 105, and it's there on your right, just about a half a mile down the road.
Yep, across from Sunrise Grill, right down there.
Grill.
So
yeah. So it's a fantastic building, fantastic services, and as I mentioned, I've had my dog has been there, and they did a tremendous job with her, and it's always just completely unbelievable group of people there, friendly and professional, and
thanks. We do try.
Yeah, and so BooneVet.net. If anybody wants to look at online on the website, BooneVet.net,
That's
and also
website.
The telephone number.
Yeah, it's 828-268-2833 is the primary line. And somebody answers it 24 hours a day. There's always somebody there. So if you need to call, then just give us a call if you have any sort of emergency situation. So
yeah. So if there is an emergency, if a viewer has an animal that has an emergency, can they just bring them?
They can. It's probably preferable if we get a phone call ahead, especially if it's in the overnight hours. It just allows us to kind of get ready depending on what the severity of the injury is, and we see a whole variety of different sort of medical conditions. So whether it's a seizuring dog or a dog that's been hit by a car or you name it, we see it at all times of the day and night. But if we know you're coming in, we can kind of get ready and get prepared and get whatever material, supplies, things like that we may need to kind of jump on things as soon as they arrive. Because usually everybody, especially emergency-wise, is trained to kind of jump on things as soon as they come in and try to get them stabilized as best we can. So.
And even during the day, because that's what I was impressed by too. Because a lot of times if you have an animal and you feel there's some concern, if you go to a normal veterinarian, they'll want you to have an appointment and want you to. But I mean, somebody, if they, especially, it'd be nice for them to give you a call, and then come come even during the day when you're busy.
Yeah.
You'll still find a way to.
Yeah, we have a doctor usually during the day whose sole responsibility is just to deal with emergencies that are coming in or transfers from some of the other clinics that may need to be dealt with. So there's usually 3 people there during the day, and one sees appointments, one usually is doing surgeries and various procedures, but that third one is there just to be available just for whatever may come in. So some days it's a little bit slower, some days it's a little bit busier. It just depends on the time of year and the situation, but we always have somebody that's available and ready to kind of jump into action if something should come in. So
yeah, Animal Emergency and Pet Care Clinic of the High Country, but really more than a veterinarian, you're really like a hospital. I mean,
pretty much, yeah. I mean, of the things that we offer, it runs the gamut. So it's one end to the other, and we can deal with just about anything that comes in, at least to get them stabilized and decide kind of what the next step is going to be. And a lot of times that's something we can do here at our clinic in Boone. And if it's something beyond our capabilities, whether it be a complicated orthopedic injury or something like that, we do have other places off the mountain that we usually refer to and have a working relationship with, so that we can kind of work as a team and make sure that we address whatever needs need to be taken care of. So
yeah, so that's tremendous. So Animal Emergency and Pet Care Clinic of the High Country, and as a hospital, we're talking the hours, and when I'm thinking of like a hospital, I'm thinking of the hours and the ability to react to emergency situations and everything. It has all the capabilities of that, while at the same time doing all the preventative care that you talk about for pet care and all the things that you can do. But Dr. David Linzey, thanks so much for being here with us.
Appreciate it.
And if any of you viewers want to take a look, it's Boone Vet, BOONEVET.net. And you can also give them a call there at 268-828-268-2833. And they're on Highway 105 in Boone. Just a fantastic place. Unbelievable, really. You never see anything like it. And a fantastic job. But thanks, Dr. Linzey, for being here with us.
Thanks, Terry.
And we'll see you here next time on the Mountain Television Network.